Have all of you guys met Steve Spradlin?
I don't know that I
don't know that I have.
Hey, Steve,
I passed him, said hello, and just never really stopped to.
you know, he's the type of guy, he's now our
Well,
Chief Technology
Yeah, we
Officer.
just
Oh,
passed
okay.
and say hello,
So,
but
of course, he hangs out and without
right
coming
where he
in
needs to be, right where all
public.
that equipment. Yeah.
So I'd like for you to meet all the board members.
Yeah, we met. We just don't.
Design my house or something. I'm Kaufman's house.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
I'm
You
Mark.
married Sarah, right?
Yeah, I married Allison.
Allison, I forgot all about that. Rick Kaufman, I designed his and Diane's house. They moved. They bought. So if there's anything wrong, they'll blame me. That's right. I forgot all
And
about
have you
that.
met Keith before?
That was fun.
Good to have you. Glad you're here.
Yeah, he married one of the twins.
Hey.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Your sister-in-law.
Different.
Let's call our meeting to order. If you would rise, please. Let's have a moment of silence. Let's remember the family of Ann Mace, passed away. She was an instructional aide, began with MCS in 1991. So keep her in our thoughts. Thank you. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah. Pretty good background.
Thank you.
Right on, Keith, yeah.
Roll call. Mr. Williams is absent tonight. I am present. Mr. Heater. Present. Mrs. Bales. I'm sorry. Dr. Bales.
It's official.
Mrs. Tasha Barnes Griffin.
Present.
Mr. Irvin.
Present.
Mr. Lowe.
Present.
Thank you. All righty. Mr. Beasley, I believe, is up.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So, okay, just want to make sure it works. We're off to a good start. That's great. Thank you for having me this evening. It's my pleasure to come here to talk to you a little bit about the Muncie Area Career Center and our career and technical education programs. At the MAC, we have 14 CTE programs altogether. We host students, these are juniors and seniors from 12 different high schools in the area. We have a first and second year track to most of our programs, and students actually apply to be in our programs from the 12 high schools. At present, we have 440 student applications for the 22-23 school year, so we're excited about that and looking forward to enrolling those students next fall and getting them started. Most programs with those numbers, most of our programs looking forward to next year are full at this time for the staffing that we have in place. We'd have a handful of spots in digital design and fire and rescue, and I just make sure I say that every chance I have in case there's anyone in the audience here who knows someone who might want to enroll in digital design or fire and rescue next year. I did want to just make a note that we've really tried to emphasize any efforts we can make to reduce barriers for students to participate in our programs. So we do have financial assistance that's available to ensure that all students have access to the tools, equipment, to the clothing they might need for their different programs, and also to ensure that all students can meet requirements to participate in internship and work-based learning experiences. Depending on the program students are in, there might be an internship that's embedded in the CTE class. And again, we want to make sure that students can participate in those. Sometimes there are fees that have to be paid. Sometimes there are TB tests, for instance, that has to be done. So we try and take care of all that for the students so that, again, there's no barriers to participation. Talk a little bit about kind of the big picture of what we do for students in terms of their graduation plan. Students in our programs can earn the designation of a CTE concentrator, which helps them meet the post-secondary ready competencies for graduation pathways. The current definition, and the one we'll use going forward until the feds change it or the state decides to change it, is that a CTE concentrator is a student who completes 2 advanced courses in a CTE pathway with a C average or better. So, when we meet in the fall every year with our staff when we're coming in, that is really a goal for us, is to make sure that we're providing adequate instruction and support to all students, that by the end of the year, if the student is present, if the student is working hard, they should be eligible to earn that CTE concentrator status. Again, that helps them check off bucket 3 for graduation pathways as they complete those 2 advanced courses. For this school year, 11 out of 14 MAC programs are structured to be in alignment with the state's next level programs of study. So these, when we say next level programs of study or NLPS, this is basically the state of Indiana's redesign of career and technical education classes. And a big part of that redesign was such that to meet that definition of a CTE concentrator to advanced courses, you have to have an introductory, what we call a principles course. And so in all of our programs now, when the kids come to us for half a day in the first year, they take the principles course, and then they take concentrator A course and concentrator B course. What this means is that if a student comes to us as a senior in high school, say, and this is one of the final things that they need to check off their list for graduation, by attending the Career Center for 1 academic year and succeeding, earning a C average in the program, that student will become a CTE concentrator. They'll be eligible to meet post-secondary ready competencies for graduation pathways. So we're in alignment in 11 of 14 of our programs with that. The only reason we're not in alignment all the way is, number one, our Purdue program is just a very unique program. It's not a kind of in alignment with what the state's doing. It's kind of a different model. And then also our dental and cosmetology programs, the state had not written those curricula yet for next level programs. So those will be instituted in next school year. So every program next year that can be aligned with NLPS will be aligned with NLPS, again, giving students that opportunity in the first year to meet concentrator status. One thing I want to emphasize about our programs is that 12 out of 14 MAC programs this year provided students the opportunity to earn college credit. We do this primarily through dual credit agreements with Ivy Tech, Vincennes, and then also Purdue University. We also offer a number of dual enrollment programs with Ivy Tech where our students are actually enrolled and taught by Ivy Tech faculty. Those would include right across the road here, second year welding, second year electrical, and first and second year automotive programs. In some programs, students complete nearly all of the credits they would need to earn certificates from post-secondary partners. A few examples of that in health science, students can earn their dementia care and certified nursing aid certificate from Ivy Tech, and that's actually in the first year of the program. In automotive, students can earn their maintenance and light repair certificate from Ivy Tech, and some students who proceed on to the second year, if they pass all of their classes, have the opportunity to earn automotive service technology technical certificates from Ivy Tech. Second year welding students earn their structural welding certificate from Ivy Tech, and second year electrical students can complete the technical courses towards their electrical specialist certificate. So again, thinking about not just college credits, but also college credits that lead to a credential from Ivy Tech or from another post-secondary partner. Next thing I want to emphasize is industry recognized credentials. So these are credentials that are basically vetted by industry partners, not directly with the Career Center, but actually at the state level. So every year the state puts out this list of industry recognized credentials. Some of these credentials will actually, similar to how a CTE concentrator status would help you meet post-secondary ready competencies, there are some industry recognized credentials, many of which are listed here, which will allow a student to check that box as well. So sometimes we may have a student who, for one reason or another, maybe they don't earn CTE concentrator status, maybe they only attended in that first semester of the program, so they weren't able to complete the 2 advanced courses, but maybe in that first semester they were able to attain an industry recognized credential. That student would still have the opportunity to use that credential for graduation pathways. Typically, credentials, you don't get them in the first semester of a program just because it takes more to earn an industry recognized credential. We do have a couple of exceptions to that. So talking a little bit about these, just to kind of give you some insight into them. With cosmetology, the state board licensure, one of the big requirements of that is 1,500 hours that the students have to have under their belt. So that's a lot of time. that they spend in the classroom as well as in the clinical setting. And then they also have hundreds of clinical experiences they have to get under their belt before they can sit for that licensure. Health Science Certified Nursing Assistant requires 75 hours of clinical experience plus passing a practical and a written exam. Welding, the American Welding Society, and I forgot what I wanted to show you one of these. And American Welding Society certs, what we do is basically the students, they take two pieces of metal. I'm going to explain it basically as I understand it, which is very simply. They take two pieces of metal, they weld them together, and then a certified welding inspector will come along and try to bend them. And to a certain point, as long as they don't break or show too much signs of stress, the student will pass that and earn that cert. So we have students who earn those certifications as well. Electrical and construction, we have NCCER certifications, actually multiple certifications that students can earn. And also in our carpentry program, our second year students are eligible to earn advanced standing with the Carpenters Union. So basically students who go through our program and meet all of the requirements under Mr. Penrod's instruction get advanced standing with the Carpenters Union upon graduating from high school. And this year, a new one that we have is with criminal justice. We're piloting this year the Indiana Certified County Jail Officer Certification Training. So we do that actually in-house. Mr. Lacey has been approved to teach that program. So right now our students are undergoing that. That's kind of the capstone experience for the criminal justice program this school year. And I think, I don't have this on my sheets. This just shows you some just numbers for dual credits and industry certs specific to the Career Center. So up there I have in 1920, we earned 1,300 college credits. Last year we earned 2,084 college credits. 95.9% of students who are eligible to earn college credit through the MAC do so, or did so this past year. And we had 96 students who earned an industry recognized credential in 2020, 2021. I anticipate, I don't want to get ahead of myself, I guess, but I anticipate that these numbers will go up this year, and our goal is for them to continue to increase. The students are earning more college credits and more certifications. Obviously, with CTE, we really want to emphasize hands-on learning. This is the real-world kind of experience is very important to CTE. It's actually the number one reason why a lot of students come to CTE, right? They've spent 11 or 12 years in the classroom doing the work they need to do to learn how to read, write, math, all that sort of thing. But now they're ready to kind of go out and put it into use in a different kind of setting. And so, again, the hands-on experiences are really valuable here. In the picture on the right, you'll see our health science students. This was in partnership with AHEC. They're working in a simulation lab. They're actually trying to repair a fractured bone. It was an animal bone. I want to say it was a cow or pig. I don't remember exactly which. But they're actually trying to basically go through a simulation lab of how you actually set a fractured bone. You go into our welding lab any day, you're going to see students in the welding booths. Obviously, our construction students, as you know, they build a house every year, so they're out on the job site. You might see students in fire and rescue in our side yard here practicing search and rescue operations and using fire hoses. Sometimes they'll climb ladders, they'll be up on a roof, so probably Dr. Reynolds and Mrs. Phelps, you probably hear them, you're like, what's that banging on the roof? Well, it's our students rolling around and getting their practice in fire and rescue. And then definitely encourage you to visit our dental program sometime to see the dental operatory where our students learn all of their chair-side skills as they prepare for their internships. Speaking of internships, these are centerpieces of a number of MAC programs. Just to give you some ideas of what our students are doing. As I mentioned, the construction and electrical students, they build a house from the ground up each year. We've been very fortunate to continue that the last couple of years. Students, our second year health science and dental students, they do a year-long extended internship. Health science students typically are doing that in a long-term care facility. In many cases, to give you an example, our first year students right now are completing their CNA. They just completed their CNA clinical rotations recently. I know we have 6 students who have already been hired. They're actually working in long-term care facilities just from that experience this year. I imagine we'll get more this summer when school lets out. So a lot of times for students who matriculate into the second year program, they'll actually be able to do their internships at their workplace. We're also in conversations right now with organizations like IU Health and Open Door to try to kind of expand the universe of opportunities for our health science internships. And in the dental program, those students are doing internships, the second year students really all year long in dental offices. Again, sitting chairside, working with dentists, working with dental assistants and hygienists. Our EMT students, this is new this year, but our EMT students, they complete ride-alongs in an ambulance. They also are required to do clinical experiences in emergency rooms. I think this year they've put those on hold just due to COVID concerns, so they're not actually in the emergency room. They're making those hours up in their ambulance ride-alongs. And our criminal justice students also get out on internships with organizations like Delaware County Probation, Muncie Police Department, the Victim Advocate's Office, and the Prosecutor's Office. And this year in our Purdue Engineering and Advanced Manufacturing program, we had our first cohort of second-year students. They were out interning with local manufacturing firms. So I think we had 12 or 13 students out there. And in fact, all those internships was great. Were paid internships, which is, again, not something we typically do. But the manufacturers were very generous in their partnership there. And the students got a lot out of those experiences for sure. Our programs and our instructors are also focused on helping students develop their own career pathways, right? And seeing a vision of, okay, here I am, I'm in high school, I'm about to graduate, what do I do next? So we have job shadowing that we have students do typically in the fall. Our teachers in all of our programs bring in guest speakers because sometimes students can get kind of a narrow view of a certain profession. So, you know, if I'm in carpentry, I might be thinking about, okay, if I'm going out on a job site, I'm swinging a hammer. But there's all sorts of actual different roles that can be connected to the world of construction in general. And so we try to bring in multiple voices for students to hear from about what the opportunities are in the various fields. Pictured above here, though, you'll see Skylar. Skylar's a Muncie Central senior, one of our carpentry students. Skylar there is in a mock interview with Tim Hines from the Carpenters Union. So this year we partnered with Ivy Tech's Office of Career Coaching and Employer Connections, hosted our job seeking skills workshop. We're actually right here in this room and in a couple other spaces. This was a 2-week experience where our seniors created resumes, they learned how to navigate the interview process, and it all culminated with mock interviews with local employers. We had partners here from Magna, IU Health, Open Door, Delaware County EMS, Muncie Estates, the IBEW, the Electrical Union, and IKORCC, our partners at the Carpenters Union. So all our seniors participated in that. And they just did, I mean, you know, it's kind of fun. You know, you work with these kids for a couple years, get to know them. Usually Skylar, you know, he's in jeans and a sweatshirt and some muddy boots. But he definitely got dressed up for this interview. He did an outstanding job, as did the rest of the seniors. We're very proud of the work they did in that workshop. Some kind of looking ahead, just some changes that are on the horizon for us. I mentioned we brought in an EMT program this year. This year was embedded in our fire and rescue program. We had a very small group of seniors returning from last year. So that small group of seniors has been doing the EMT curriculum, preparing for the EMT test. Happy to say they've already done their practical exam. They all passed all of their practicals. The next step is the National Registry exam, which is very hard. We've kind of been warned by other training providers that this is a very challenging test, but we have a great instructor. We have really these 4 students. You know, if you were to handpick the first 4 students you'd send through this program, these are the kids. They've been working really hard all year, so we're eager to see how that turns out at the end of this school year, how they do with that EMT certification. But next year we're going to pull that EMT program out, and it's going to be a standalone program. So kids will have the option, if a student just wants to take EMT for a year, and say a senior, for instance, wants to come in and do a year with us, they really want to get their EMT certification, they can come in and do that in their first year at the Career Center. But it will also be there as a capstone experience for students who do their first year in our firefighting program. They want to go on and get an advanced certification, they can do that in EMT next year as well. Nice thing also about that is by aligning it with the NLPS EMT pathway, we're going to be able to offer some additional dual credits to those students as well, so they'll get a jump start on their college career. Beyond that, in terms of programs, we're also looking to build out a new IT pathway, and also we want to really add to our advanced manufacturing pathway and strengthen that area of our programming. Next up there, we'll be incorporating certified clinical medical assistant credential this will be basically our second year health science pre-nursing program. It's going to be focused on that CCMA credential. And so that will be an additional credential to complement the certified nursing assistant credential students earn in that first year. And again, continuing the internship opportunities that are available to kids in that second year program. Last thing I want to emphasize is we're really trying to continue to expand dual credit, college credit, and internship opportunities. On the college credit front, our goal is to have all MAC programs aligned with at least some college credit by the beginning of the 23-24 school year. And I know next year for sure, we're adding college credit to the early childhood program through a really generous partnership with Ivy Tech. We're really our partners at Ivy Tech. They stepped forward and took the lead to make that happen. So we're very grateful for that. And then later on down the road, again, want to make sure we have that in EMT. We want to add dual credits in digital design and our fire and rescue programs. And with internships, we want to expand internship programs in programs like early childhood education and criminal justice. But also we want to look especially at programs like our second year welding, our second year automotive program, where it's dual enrollment. They get a lot of great experience in the Ivy Tech program, in those college classes, but we want to complement that with some work-based learning for those students. We think they're ready to get out there to be working with some folks, and we intend to do that embedded in those programs. Just last one, second to last slide, just a quick snapshot of our enrollment trends. So you see we're hovering right around 360. That's our official count day number. Right now, again, we have 440 applications. There's typically some fluctuation between now and the start of school. Students move, things change. Maybe they didn't pass that algebra class, this year that they really need, so they got to go back and do that. But again, we want to try and get up around that 400 mark, continue to increase our enrollments and improve our programs in that way. Last thing I want to say, just want to thank the board for giving me time to share with you about what we're doing in CTE at the Career Center. I also want to thank the board. I want to thank our leadership team. They've been hugely supportive of CTE and of what we're trying to do at the Career Center. And I also just want to publicly acknowledge the Ball Brothers Foundation. They've been very generous and supportive of the MAC in recent years. In fact, if you walk down our hallways and you see the updated look we have, including some really nice signage trying to represent the 12 sending high schools that we have, you'll see that there, and that's all made possible by the Ball Brothers Foundation. So again, just really appreciate all their support, and definitely there's more to come. So I'd be happy to stop now and answer any questions you guys might have.
I do have a quick question. You just touched upon 12 high schools are sending students to the program?
Yeah, so the Delaware County High
And it could
Schools.
grow to more high schools, right?
I'm sorry?
It's not a radius limitation. It's whoever has a student who wants to come to the MAC?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
And we want to have an agreement in place with that school district.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And our kind of region, our district technically is Delaware and Randolph County. So the high schools in those areas are certainly eligible to send to us. We also have students who come from Blackford High School. They have some programs that they offer in Blackford County and in other districts that they actually send students to, but for certain programs they send to us.
And you may have said, but what triggers, what tells you it's time to change the programs?
Yeah.
Put this aside and start this program.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of times the student enrollment, trends will dictate
the demand.
that. I mean, we've run into that recently too with a program where great program, I mean, really interesting and exciting opportunities, but just the enrollments weren't there to support it. Because we have to be able to sustain it with enrollments, because that's similar to everything else in education nowadays, kind of the money follows the student, right? So if there's not enough students, who are pursuing a program, at some point we can't, continue to offer it.
And I do have one last question. So how deep in the pipeline are you going to encourage students to think about this? Is it all the way back to 7th grade? You're going into elementary?
So it's a good question, and really we should probably, we do go back to the middle schools. We really should go back even further, and are looking to do that, particularly when we talk about improving some of our pathways that are really high demand locally. We know we need to expose students at an earlier age to those opportunities and to the programs. But we're very intentional about the middle schools. Historically, we've done 8th grade tours. So from all those 12 sending districts, we bring the 8th graders out here and do tours with them. This summer, we're offering a career camp for North Side and South Side middle school students. So we definitely hope they'll come out, and that'll give them a real chance to experience some of the CTE programs and see what it's like. But we really freshman and sophomore year also at those schools. I mean, that's when we're really going out to those schools and recruiting those students.
Perfect. Thank you.
I have a two-part question. One is targeting 400 kids. What would capacity be? Not from an instructor perspective, but from a facility. And then the second piece of that is what do you think the most important thing would be to get there? What do you need the most in order to try to realize that potential?
Yeah. So capacity, that's a great question. Since we moved out here, I actually haven't done, I mean, if we were to have programs in all available spaces, run a morning session, run an afternoon session, what would our, I mean, I'd say our capacity, we would probably be looking at around 500 students, maybe 475 to 500 students here in our facility and in the facilities we use with Callan Road. Plus cosmetology is housed at Amber's. And then we have our Purdue program and the advanced manufacturing program have been at Monkey Central. So yeah, so we could move up into that range, I'd say close to 500 students as far as capacity goes. What do we need the most? That's a really good question. I mean, I think that, I like our processes, honestly. I think for us of recruitment and education, I think we can improve on some things of how we do them and when we do them. I think, again, starting a little bit earlier, with the elementary schools, getting the students out there. We've done some, again, going back to some of the support we've had from Ball Brothers Foundation, we've done a series of videos on our programs. They're kind of short videos, but if you're on the internet now, you just realize how important videos are. Every time you're trying to read a news article, right, there's some video popping up playing somewhere. So we've done some videos that we share out with the schools as well to try to give kids a quick visual, view of, hey, this is what it's like if you're in the dental program, or this is what it's like if you're in the firefighting program. So I think trying to continue those types of marketing efforts to reach students in the context of where they already are, right? If they're on social media, or if they're on the internet, or just however they're, what they're sharing with each other, try to kind of be in that space a little bit, which is not exactly my strength. I'm not like hip and cool and with it in that way. But that's, hey, don't. They're like, we know. They've known me too long. But that is an interesting part of our school, and obviously all schools try to market themselves, but that we really do have to market and do a lot of outreach, and so I think part of it is just finding ways to do that effectively. And again, Ball Brothers has been very supportive of that type of work and continue to be, and pushing us and encouraging us to do that. So.
That more important that turn down enough staff to complement.
Yeah. So those numbers. So we have a couple programs where it would be crowded, right? But yes, right now we're staffed appropriately to do that. If we have to, we do have a process for building a wait list. If we had to put kids on a wait list, we can do that. Right now, we're fortunate where we're kind of right in that sweet spot where, as far as the staff that we have lined up, I have one hire to make still for next school year. But as far as the staff we have in place, I think we're in a good position.
What is that? You said principal assessment. What is that principal's class that you have?
So basically in every pathway, so an example, like take carpentry, for instance. So what they've done now is the state has built these pathways such that there's a first course, a second course, and a third course. And the first course is always called the principles course. So for carpentry and electrical, it's principles of construction trades.
Oh, principles, like those principles.
Right, yeah,
like
exactly.
You.
Yeah. It's kind of a beefed up introductory course.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So the students have to, it has to be a prereq or a co-req to the other two subsequent courses that they would take.
I thought they had to meet with you and listen to you. Like, this is what you're.
I wish. No. And the interesting thing too about the way the state's doing it is that it also puts the high schools in a different position now too, where so we can, because we run on a half-day block, so we can offer those 3 courses over the span of a school year. But high schools can also offer them just as a, that's the principal's course, for instance, would be a 1-credit class first semester, 1 credit second semester. Same for the Concentrator A, Concentrator B course. So the high schools, are going to start embedding those into their curricula as well. We were, as a CTE, as a career center or CTE districts, we were kind of, I think, pushed a little bit earlier, since this is what we do, to adopt the NLPS framework. There is a timeline in which you can do it. We went more aggressively, as did a lot of career centers, again, because it was a benefit to the students where they could get that concentrator status designation in 1 year.
I just have a comment and maybe a question. I just want to say I'm a fan of the program. I think you're doing a great job. I think it's just wonderful what we're doing with these kids. About a week or so ago, I think most of us probably read the article. Michael Hicks had the CEO of Lilly on. Did you read that? Any thoughts about his, I guess, prognostication about Indiana and the trending? And he made a statement that was a little puzzling. He said 100% of the job growth over the past 30 years went to people who have been to college. What do you think about that? Who have been to college, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I understand. I didn't read that particular article, but I've read a lot of Mr. Hicks, and so I'm kind of familiar with some of his major concerns, and don't, I'm not really equipped, I think, to disagree much with his perspective on everything. But what we try to do, though, is to give kids options and opportunities, and so, again, with trying to make sure that college credit is part of everything that we do, with trying to make sure that industry recognized certifications are part of everything that we do. So that any student comes in through our doors has the opportunity to leave with a head start on college. And a lot of them are getting some of those credits at high school, right? Like Muncie Central offers a lot of wonderful dual credit opportunities. We're trying to just kind of be like them and make it available for students who might pursue careers in the trades. It's when I talk about options for students, I want our students to be able to choose what they do after high school. To as much of an extent as they can, right?
Sure.
And so if a student wants to go to work, I think that's great. If you want to go to work, get a good paying job and start doing that, great. But I also want you to have this credential in your back pocket. I want you to have these college credits in your back pocket so that if you decide, hey, it's time to go back to school or it's time to apply for this promotion, you're going to be in a much better position to do that, to increase your own prospects, for success and advancement, and really, again, going back to career development, that it's not really about a job, it's about developing a career path for yourself. And so again, that's really what we're trying to do. And I'd also say though too, I mean, there's a lot of great opportunities in the fields that we focus on. There's a lot of the students, I mean, again, we have juniors in high school right now who are working in long-term care facilities, so they started their career already after completing the program with us. And we have kids who, they'll go into the carpenters union next year. We have students who are, some of the interns I was talking about in our manufacturing and Purdue programs, they're going to work at these manufacturing firms, and they're starting those careers. So again, really, I think they have a leg up. And then another thing too is just trying to, and I know this is something we try and do with all of our dual credit, but is get you, on a path to college or on a path to some sort of post-secondary education and training, but also one that's going to financially be affordable to you, and it's going to make sense to you. And again, just going to put you on a path where you're going to have lots of opportunities and lots of options. So yeah, like I said, I don't disagree with anything that he has to say. I mean, our focus though is on giving kids some skills where if they want to go to work right now, they can go to work right now. If they want to go to school, they can go to school right now. If they want to work their way through school, they can do that.
Sure.
So it's really all about just whatever works for that student and their life circumstance and their family.
That's great. That's great.
Well,
Excellent.
I would like to take the time just to recognize Caleb. He is an exceptional leader. When I've been out around the city, I've had people from other districts come up to me and they said, your principal of your career center, he went to my son's wrestling match, or he went to this, baseball game. And Caleb goes, he has 12 different schools that he's trying to make sure he's supporting all the students. So he goes over and above to really, reach out and connect with all the students and their families. And he also does a great job with all of the businesses. And so he builds good relationships, creates programs to make sure our students have those good opportunities. And then I hear from the state level, because they've really redesigned CTE programs. You hear how he talks, 12 of our 14 programs now have college credit embedded in them. That wasn't like that a few years ago. So he's done a major overhaul of our programs. And at the state level, they tell me all the time, you are very fortunate to have Caleb. And so I hear it from everybody. And so I just wanted to take this time to thank you too, Caleb.
Great. Thank you. Okay, next on our agenda was the Student Advisory Board, and many of the students have activities, so they are not going to present tonight. So we will move on to Dr. K.
Oh, so just a few things I'd like to talk about. First, I know Brad is watching from Dallas, Texas. Brad Jerome, let's all tell him hello. And I first would like to report our robotics team. He hasn't lost any students yet, so that's good news. They're having a great time, great experiences for our students. And we placed 46 out of 80. And so for our first time at the World Championship, I would say we are very proud of them. Last week, we had the district art show that Dia coordinated, put in a significant amount of time in the evenings and on the weekends to make sure that she had that coordinated. And I've just heard great reviews from everybody that participated. Our students had, wonderful art in the art show, and I have to give our teachers a lot of credit to be able to pull out the talent from all of our students. On Friday, our girls track team won their invitational, which was at Muncie Central. Today, Jim Williams and I actually took a road trip to Marian University and met with the president. They are running the City Connects program, training our family navigators, not only in Muncie, but there are other school districts who are implementing that program. And so we went and met with him and talked a little bit about literacy and things we can do in our elementary schools as well. So Jim was hoping he might be here tonight, but we wore him out today. And so I think at the next board meeting, he'll be back again. He's doing really well. We also met with Ball State. They're helping us to implement a peer tutoring program that will go in place next year at Northside and Southside, and as well as Central, beginning with writing, similar to how they run the writing tutoring at Ball State University. And then once we really knock out the writing, then we'll move that into math as well. Caleb was just here Thursday. He has his adult ed graduation, which begins at 7 o'clock. 17 students will be graduating. And then finally, I would like to just mention that Dylin has her retirement party. We're still sad about that, but May 20th, it's going to be in this room from 3 to 5, and it's going to be open house style. And so we hope that if you're able, you can come and celebrate Dylin. That's it.
Great.
Any questions from any of the board?
Okay, thank you. Any public comments? Do we have any on this? All right, great. All right, let's look at the consent agenda. And I'll just highlight one thing on here. Miss Heidi White is here, I believe. And she is going to be our new Director of Elementary Education. And so we want to congratulate you. Do you want to say something? Come on, come up.
Pastor Keith, members of the board, Dr. K, members of cabinet. I just want to say thank you for this opportunity. I am very excited to serve the Muncie Community Schools in this role and to grow my capacity with the school district as well. So I'm very excited. I'm very appreciative that Dr. Bell will still be on board to continue to mentor me as I go through this process, as well as Eric Grimm in the Director of Secondary role. So he and I will work together as well. So thank you again for the opportunity. I look forward to continuing to do great things.
Great, congratulations. I kind of had a little cringe there when I said, would you like to say a few words, you know? just a preacher's reaction, sorry about that. Do we have any other comments about the consent agenda? Anything that we need to address? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, we're good there. All right, textbook adoptions. Dr. Bell.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Sun is shining, what more can we ask for, correct? Vice President, to our president that's not here today, Jim Williams, to our Vice President, Pastor Keith, members of the board, cabinet. I stand today to ask for a review and approval of our recommendation for our math textbook going into 2022, 2023, and we usually adopt 5 to 6 years. The committee is recommending iReady, which is called Ready Math. We've met at least a half a dozen times as a committee. The committee consists of teachers from kindergarten through 5th grade. We had administrators on the committee, and we also had parent volunteers on the committee. Our committee went back to each of their buildings, presented the information. We had 4 different textbook companies to present. Our meetings were virtual, and so that those textbook companies were able to present virtually. And then we also had a supplemental company that was suggested by one school, and that company presented as well to the whole committee. And so it was very close. But as we reviewed the results from our lengthy, and I know teachers are going to say yes, very lengthy rubric to vote for each book. And then we also conferred with other surrounding districts as to what is being used. The Reveal Math is very new, and new adoption and people surrounding us have not experienced that in Indiana. And so we did reach out to various school districts to see how they are using the textbooks. And then it's always wonderful. I said earlier to my secretary, doing stuff for grants. Dr. K's name came up still on a document from grants and IDOE. But with her experiences and connections, she was able to reach out to folks at IDOE to see what some of the experiences have been with Reveal through McGraw-Hill's math books, and then also with Associates, Curriculum Associates, which produced the iReady and the Ready Math. And so all of that data gathered and looked at and reviewed, we are recommending that we go with the Ready Math.
So I'm curious, how, other than the recommendation and consulting with other corporations perhaps, does somebody actually go through the book page by page, chapter by chapter? That's a long.
Yes. We even
long
had
process.
some on our committee that compared the state standards with the Ready Math.
Right.
But then also other districts have used it previously and went through and looked at the standards, the state standards, and the book, what is offered, the ebook and all of the resources. And then also people that Dr. K conferred with have done some intensive work in math curriculum and suggested Ready Math as well.
Wow, remarkable. Thank you.
Dr. Bell, can you, I mean, are there one or two things that are very different than what we have used in the past? Or, you know, is it similar to the books we've used?
One very difference is it is a student ebook. So that
Okay.
is an ebook. The other difference is when we adopt Ready Math, we are already utilizing Teacher Toolbox. That comes with the adoption instead of a separate cost. And with doing grants, I'm always looking at the money. And then also we have some other resources through Ready Math that is available to teachers. Now, the company suggests, as far as manipulatives, a big conversation that the committee had was around manipulatives, hands-on manipulatives for math, and the company does not have it, but they work closely with Hand to Mind. As a district, we've worked closely with Hand to Mind when we were doing e-learning packets in the 2020. We relied heavily on those materials from Hand to Mind, and then also this last summer, excuse me, working with our community partners, they did not have a strong focus on math. And so I encouraged them to have conversations with Hand to Mind, and they did adopt Hand to Mind. So I see what we're going to do during the school year. We're trying to make sure our after-school programs and our summer programs are being a part of that. Another comment about the Ready Math, we're doing iReady assessments 3 times a year, and it's the same company that produced those assessments that we do.
Just a quick question. Forgive my ignorance. I used to be really good at math, but it's been 40-some years. And so I'm curious, just a couple of things, maybe, what determines whether or not a textbook is a good textbook in this area?
In this area, we first look at the alignment with the state standards. We look at scaffolding, if it's a review of things that students learned in October, are they seeing it again in January and February, where we're not just staying on that skill or mastering that, but we're seeing it throughout the time, because we know when we look at iLearn, when we look at some of our iReady assessments, we know that students will be presented with a wide range of the math standards presented to them. And so when we look at a textbook, we want to know if the scaffolding, is that a continuation of the skills, and are they building on each other, the skills? And then also, we want to do more and more hands-on. That's why I mentioned the manipulatives for math.
Great. Thank you.
Yes.
Dr. Bell, question, just again, kind of following to what Keith said. It's been a long time since I've done math. I remember it used to be a textbook, and then you'd have handouts and show your work. You know, the answer isn't as important as the work a lot of times. How does that work with an ebook now? And do you still actually use a pencil and paper to do? I hate to show my ignorance there, but I have no idea.
Yes, there's still pencil and paper also, but we use technology as well with the ebook. That means the students will have access at home. And then we also have checked in about, because we're Schoology with a local management system. And so work can be posted in Schoology where students can access that at home as well. And I know years ago with the technology, if you had internet, you can access it. Well, with some of the programs, you can actually download the book on the Chromebook and students can still access it at home. We also, and I love math, I love reading, but I also love math, like old school paper pencil to work the problem and to resolve it. No, I don't really like the worksheets, but there are opportunities that students can even use their bodies, doing a tape measure and measuring something in the floor. And so we really want students up and engaged, but we still rely on paper pencil. But we also need to include the technology, because we know our students nowadays are being tested on technology devices. Did I answer each of your questions?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you notice how we both acknowledge how old we were, right?
Do we need a motion?
I think we do.
Please.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Pastor Neal. Thank you, Dr. Bell, for leading us off there. Hopefully they'll answer most of my questions too, right? So we followed a very similar process as the elementary folks. Started back in December with reviewing materials and seeking materials. You have your big textbook vendors, but then also your smaller vendors. What really served our secondary folks very, very well was our PDS liaison, Andrew Gatza. So Dr. Gatza works with all of our secondary schools in the math departments, but specifically our middle schools. But for this situation, he worked with all buildings. So we began to collect those resources, get them out in January, as you can see in our timeline. We were fortunate enough to attend the textbook caravan at the convention center, where we could send a master teacher who happened to be a math teacher, a former math teacher. Dr. Gatza got to attend, and our department chair at the high school. So we had good representation to go and see some of the vendors and resources in action, and then take that information back at an early release day in January to discuss with the other departments. Dr. Gatza then put together a review form, similar to what they did with Dr. Bell and her process. where they got to review all of the textbooks that we had and resources. I keep saying textbooks, I guess that's an old habit, because like Ready Math, there was not necessarily a textbook there, right? You reviewed the online resources. So they reviewed those, created a tally sheet from the review, had their top 2 scorers come in, which was Reveal Math by McGraw-Hill and Amplify. Amplify is a pretty new company. But they came in and did some presentations, got some online access for our folks to try out, and then we've gone through the process and then selected Reveal Math as our 6th through Algebra 2 content area. So we'll use Reveal Math for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2, and then for pre-calc, quantitative reasoning, and calculus, we're going to continue to use those resources that we have in place at this time, so we won't adopt a new resource for that. And then we have an AP Statistics and AP Calculus that will continue with those current resources and not adopt anything new for those resources. Much like the elementaries, with the Reveal Math will offer we're going to go with a blended approach. So we're going to have classroom sets for our schools, but then everyone will have a take-home ebook that they can access. A couple of those things that pushed Reveal Math over the edge or to the top for our secondary folks was the integration with Schoology and PowerSchool, that they have a relationship with those companies. So it's a seamless integration to assigning work and posting it in Schoology and once it's graded, then to be graded in Schoology and then posted to PowerSchool. Another feature is Desmos. So Desmos is a digital manipulative arena where the students will have the opportunity to graph and use a calculator, divide up blocks for fractions and those types of things. So it's really a hands-on virtual tool that is embedded in the Reveal Math with McGraw-Hill. The secondary folks like the idea of having a consistent platform from 6 through Algebra 2. You begin to maybe look at math a little differently at that stage. So I think that they like that continuity aspect with Reveal Math. Additionally, the Reveal Math also offered a differentiated pathway. So you could you would give an assignment, and you can score it in Reveal and Schoology, and then it will create a differentiated pathway for additional work based on that assignment. You can either get some stretch exercises, or maybe loop back and revisit some of those things that the kids struggled with in that assignment.
Sounds good.
So I think Bishop O'Neill asked that question, but it was just time, or?
So, yes, so you do an adoption. Typically, the old state cycle was a six or 7 year rotation. And now was a time for us to do math because our online subscriptions were running out at the end of this year. So we either needed to renew those subscriptions with older books or just revisit for a new subscription.
Any questions?
Move to approve if there's no other questions.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, you're adopted. Any dialogue from the board tonight? Any comments? I would like to congratulate everybody. We're back together again. Appreciate everybody. Any media here tonight? No media questions? All right. Entertain a motion.
So be it.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.